Hello everybody, Chris here from Truly Holistic. In this video, we're going to talk about a new product. Very excited about it. So excited about it. I'm always wearing it, always got it on, which is the Ankh pendant. Okay. Um, Now, why we came forth to making a Ankh pendant was, one, it was just showing itself up. There was a lot of posts coming up talking about how the Ankh is the key of life, right? And I was getting a similar thing through my dowsing about that. And for a wee while, we've been working with the concept of conception, okay? And that as part of this human experience, there's actually two conceptions. The first conception is the formation of a body, right? The vehicle that we're going to utilize for a lifetime. Now, this body that we generally refer to in the way that we perceive it as the human can be also said that it's a medium, an avatar, a form of expression, because it really is. It's a tool of discernment for ourselves when we decide to perceive it as such. So, of course, we all know how that's formed, right? So two polarities, right, that make up duality, a male and a female, a man or a woman come together, right? Very much like this, right? We see each polarity as a circle, right? And they come together, right? Because duality is made up of two polarities, opposing polarities, right? Male and female, man and woman. They come together, right? To create, when they overlap, they create a Vesica Pisces geometry, which is known as the divine feminine, that you can see here. This is where the whole Pisces comes from, right, which means fish. And it creates a space of conception of a body, right? So when that woman is then pregnant and that body has been formed, it initially is just the shell, right? It's a vehicle that has no driver. Now, when that embryo gets to a point where it forms its first organ, which is the heart, that is when the next conception of ourself, which is really the conception or the facilitation of what we authentically are as a soul consciousness, comes through. Because what the heart represents is a portal, wormhole, Einstein-Rosen bridge that facilitates what we are through it, right? Hence, this is why our experience is bound to a beating heart, right? We're going to touch this and apply this to the formation of this pendant and what this pendant facilitates, but we're also going to get into a little bit more about what the Egyptians did and what they knew about the heart itself, right? When they weighed it on scales with a feather. We're going to talk a little bit more because it is associated with this. So we've got two forms of conception. So the cool thing about this product that we've created, which is that's it there, the Ankh pendant, is that it facilitates the energetics of both conceptions. So at the top, you can see a tensor ring, which for anybody that is unaware of tensor technology, that is when wire is bent back on itself, put through a drill, twisted, and it's cut to a specific measurement, which we call a cubit. And cubit means what frequencies, what energetics are going to be facilitated through the ring. The two ends of that wire is brought together and brazed or soldered or welded together to create a closed loop, and that becomes a tensor ring. So that tensor ring, that top part of that Ankh there, is facilitating our cubit measure called the activation, which is the earth element, because we have come here to have a human experience on what we perceive as the planet Earth. So that's one conception, right, which is more associated with our physicality, the body. Now, the copper rod that we've used for more of the cross formation, including the coil that you see is in the infinite qubit qubit or energetics, that is more in regards to the conception of you or facilitation of you as what you infinitely authentically are as the soul. So you've got both conceptions or energetics of conceptions that were forged as this Ankh pendant. It's pretty cool. Now I'm going to show you here the way that we make it. Of course, we make the tensor ring first, and then we go about cutting everything to measurement, right? So we've got the two components here and then the long component here that make up the cross, and then we make the little coil. And then the way that we then put it all together is we put the coil up like that, and then we thread, I can show you my one, and then you thread that all through so it connects through and pulls the coil up into the cross. Okay, pretty cool. So that's now on the product store at trulyholistic.net/products/. So I'm really excited about that, right? And for me, when we look at the symbolic nature of the Ankh, right, the key of life, for me, the key is the heart. Always has been in regards to Truly Holistic. All the modalities, the clearing work we do, the self-empowered healing systems I present for people to become their own healer, the tensor technology products that, which the Ankh represents, this Ankh pendant, is all based around getting one's heart more open and more available, more involved in one's life, because it's the key to everything. The thing with humanity, the humanity is, what people would reference as the matrix or prison world, is, for me, humanity is generally mind forged, and that is the prison itself, because the mind doesn't facilitate your natural state and it doesn't align with nature. So it disconnects you from yourself and it disconnects you from the earth and what it truly authentically represents. And so the key to unlocking yourself from that prison is to connect to what you authentically are, and then also to embrace authentically what this earth experience is all about. So this is, for me, the Ankh is a representation of that, and that's what we've instilled in the pendant. Now, let's go to this one here, right? It goes into the Ankh in regards to, that top circle bit as the uterus, right? Because you got to understand that, as I mentioned, right, the conception of the embryo, the formation of the body, is that really the uterus, right, the womb, is the incubating unit to form and create another body. Right, so that's the uterus. And then it's interesting with the cross, so on each side they've got sunset and sunrise, because the cross, and I'll show you, we'll click out of this and I'll show you here, the cross, that's an ancient symbol of the sun, right? And the thing about the sun is the constant. It's always been there, right? So all the religions that we have today all originated out of sun worshipping, because the sun has always been the concept, or the constant. And in fact, when we look at Christianity in regards to Jesus, which is the Son of God, for me, was a duality viewpoint on what was the constant and personalizing it into a human form. So instead of sun, S-U-N, it became S-O-N. Okay, because you look at the symbology of Jesus, it's always in regards to the cross, but it's also in regards to light behind him, which is the true symbolic nature of Jesus, which is the sun, S-U-N, not S-O-N. Okay. Hopefully I haven't walked on too many toes there saying that, but this is the importance of the sun. Now, also, we'll bring this back up. The Latin word for sun is sol, S-O-L, right, which is exactly the same as our authentic makeup as a soul, S-O-U-L. Right, so that ties in the symbolic nature of the cross and the connection of, again, the two conceptions, right? The uterus in regards to the conception of the body, and then the cross, which is symbolic nature of the sun, and that's the facilitation, the conception of ourselves here as the soul, what we authentically are. So very interesting. And of course, the passage of ourselves, once the heart's formed, the body is being groomed to be birthed, right? And we come through the vaginal canal, the birth canal, right? Is often associated with the Vesica, right? The Vesica symbol or the Vesica geometry, which is the birth canal. That's quite often the geometry of the birth canal, right? Which is interesting, right? So that's got all that indication and connection of that there too, which is pretty cool. Here's another photo of the pendant when it's worn. You can see my scruffy old beard there at the top. Yeah. So as I mentioned before, I've been delving into these two conceptions, and in fact, we created a geometry of your evolution pendant set, which is 3 pendants. They've got 3 geometries, as you can see there, and you get a chart with it, so you can use your intuition to find out which pendant you need to wear. And that geometry of your evolution pendant set is what I simply call a fail-safe to your manifestation ability, right? Because it starts from the conception pendant, right? Which, again, those 2 circles that overlap that create the Vesica Pisces in the middle, right? Which can be seen better there, right? Now, this is the conception of the body. So this is more your physicality. And we recommend this product or this pendant to wear if you want to increase your fertility or just balance your hormones. Okay. Now, this other conception pendant, which is a different energetic, that's why you can see it, it's smaller. This is more bound to your conception of the facilitation of you as a soul through the heart. Okay. Which is what we use as part of this geometry of your evolution chart. That's what it's called, the conception pendant, which allows a discernment from what you authentically are as a soul to bring forth the ideas, the concepts that then you are here going to create and become manifested as your reality. So your reality becomes a reflection of your heart's desires, and these are the steps to do it, to bring through the conception, the idea. Then the insight pendant is to then use your place of attention to feed that concept so it becomes rooted into reality. And then the last one is the final manifestation of that concept into reality. So that's a wonderful pendant set. If you don't know about that, go and check that out in my product store. But it's why I brought that up is very much based on this whole idea of conception, which is also associated with the new pendant, the Ankh pendant. Now, what we're going to go to now is talk a little bit more about how the ancient Egyptians saw the heart, right? Because when we talk about conception, when we talk about the key of life, what we're talking about is the heart. So I'm going to bring this up. And what they did was, when someone had passed over or deceased, right, in their passage to the afterlife, they would weigh the recently deceased, their heart, right? And they would measure it with a feather. Now, of course, there's many expressions connected to this, right? For example, to be light as a feather. Another expression is a heavy heart, right? Now, the way my soul consciousness has shown me is that, we are here to create experience, but to convert that experience into wisdom, right? And the way that we do that is we need to connect to the heart of that experience, heart of the matter, right? So we have to be in the heart to perceive that experience as a lesson we need to learn. Because if we don't see it that, then we don't convert it into wisdom. And we carry that experience, which then becomes a heavy heart, right? And when they measure on the scales and it becomes a heavy heart, they realize that, hey, you didn't fulfill the reason why you came here in your experience, right? Your soul's purpose. So I guess they used it as a form of judgment. Now, when you convert your experience into wisdom, you don't hold on to the experience, you convert it into wisdom and let it go, which means the heart stays light, right? You don't have a heavy heart, you have a light heart. And also the word light is referred to the facilitation of yourself as a soul consciousness, your consciousness. And that's what the heart's all about, right? When you use your heart and you feel your way instead of think your way, yes, you convert your experience into wisdom, but you also facilitate more of your light, right? If you're not doing that and you're up in mind, thought, mentality, you carry your experience around and you don't facilitate your light, right? Which is not levity, because the Latin word for levity means light. It's gravity, which means the word in Latin means heaviness, right? So it connects that heavy heart, right? So really, we want our heart to lead our experience. So when we look at the Ankh, right, as the key of life, right, and our key of life is our heart, right, and the conception of ourself as a soul to utilize the body, the other form of conception as an experience here is all to do with the heart to lead us, to fulfill what we came here to do, came here to be. It's all based on the heart. Interesting, right? So it all connects to, again, they knew that, right? That aspect of the heart, how important the heart is. You got to remember you're here because you're bound and connected to a beating heart. When that heart stops beating, you no longer experience reality here. It's very important. It's the key to everything. I've just got some notes here. I'm just going to go through and make sure I've covered it on this. Let's have a look. I think I've covered most of it. Oh, we have, yeah. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. As I say, if you're interested in purchasing the Ankh pendant, go to my product store at trudyholistic.net/products/. You'll see the Ankh pendant there to purchase. It's currently on special at the moment. Also, if you're interested in the conception pendant or the whole geometry of the evolution pendant set, you'll see that also in the product store as well. Go and purchase that. If you'd like to learn more about this, we provide reality coaching sessions where we dig deep into these concepts. We dig deep in providing you with the wisdom and the insights to understand your reality, how reality is forged, your role in forging reality. And also, if you're interested in achieving your ascension, right, achieving all your heart's desires, well, we can usher that. We can give you and guide you away in providing that for yourself through reality coaching, but also ascendance healing sessions as well. So if you'd like to book a session with me, you go to my appointment page at trudyholistic.net/appointments/ and you book an appointment there. But hope you really enjoyed the video. Please give this video a like, share this video around. If you're new to my channel, so please subscribe to the channel, push the notification bell to be notified when the next video drops. Until next time, catch you later.